Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight for News 4 at 6. I'm Matt Breen.
And I'm Jessica Bowman. 70 years ago today, KTIV signed on the air for the first time since 1954. Our news department has been bringing you the stories that are important to Siouxland.
Tonight, KTIV's Al Jones takes a look back at some of the big stories and other highlights from the last 7 decades.
It's no easy task tracking down, let alone playing, file footage from 70 years here at KTIV, all the format changes. But our engineers have made it possible with this tower of technology they've assembled in the garage. And with this, I can play any tape from the KTIV archives. And for the really old stuff, we've even acquired this old Bell & Howell projector. So let's dig in and see what we find. Fires and floods, elections, groundbreakings, politics and parades, trials and transportation. News is always happening, and KTIV has been there covering it all for 70 years.
How would you describe the conditions at the office of the Woodbury County Overseer of the Poor?
Chaotic, utterly incompetent.
We've reported on an estimated 500,000 news stories in that time.
Need to be and have to be forthcoming if Sioux City's to renew its downtown area.
Fred, would you make a prediction, a percentage increase for 1968 over 1967 tonnage on the river?
Yes, I would. I would say that we're going to have here 25% over 68 over 1967.
Thanks to our friends at the Sioux City Public Museum for providing photos in cases where KTIV file footage has been lost to time. Like one of the big stories from the first year on the air for KTIV, the closing of the Cudahy packing plant. In operation in Sioux City since 1892, it employed 1,700 workers at its peak. The company fell on hard times, and in 1954, the Sioux City plant closed. From a shutdown to a startup, the first stretch of Interstate 29 in Sioux City opened in 1958. 4 years later, a mishap on I-29. In 1962, one span of the interstate bridge tumbled into the Big Sioux River after a flood. Miraculously, no one died and there were no injuries. Sioux City was named an All-America City in 1961. Mayor George Young helped unfurl the banner. The city got the honor for its handling of the polio epidemic and rechannelization of the Floyd River after a flood. In May of 1969, KTIV was there when members of Sioux City's 185th Tactical Fighter Group returned from duty in Vietnam. The unit's 174th Tactical Fighter Squadron had been activated in response to the Pueblo crisis the previous year. One pilot, Lieutenant Warren Brown, was shot down, the only member of the 185th killed in action in Vietnam. Check out the file film of the famous combination bridge linking Sioux City and South Sioux City, shot in September of 1976. 2 months later, ground was broken on Veterans Memorial Bridge, which replaced the combination bridge in 1981. Tragedy struck in April 1974 when a grain dust explosion at the Bartlett grain elevator killed 4 men and injured 1. The last time Sioux City lost a firefighter was 1982. 2 men died in the hen house fire on West 7th Street. They were inside the building when a floor collapsed. In December of 1994, an explosion at Terra Industries' Port Neal plant killed 4 people and injured 18 others. The blast destroyed the building and sent up a cloud of ammonia gas. Company officials said the cause was a flaw in a piece of equipment. Literally thousands of weather stories over the years. Here's one of them, the tornado that hit Port Neal near Salix, Iowa in 1986. It destroyed one of the power plants there. The twister was on the ground for 68 miles in northeast Nebraska before it crossed the Missouri River and hammered the plant. Remarkably, there were no fatalities or serious injuries. We've covered more floods than anyone could ever count. One of the big ones was the Perry Creek flood in 1990. More than 500 Sioux City homes and nearly 100 businesses were destroyed. It led to the $100 million Perry Creek Flood Mitigation Project. Then there's the time the Missouri River flooded for basically the entire summer of 2011, impacting people from Jackson, Nebraska to Sioux City to Kansas City and beyond. Of course, the biggest news story of them all was the crash of United Airlines Flight 232 on July 19, 1989. KTIV reporter Dave Boxam famously captured the crash of the jumbo jet on video. But here's some footage you might not have seen that Boxam shot in the minutes before the crash. Emergency crews waiting on the tarmac. They'd gotten advance notice the crippled aircraft was trying to make it to Sioux Gateway, giving them time to get there and prepare. It's a big part of how 184 people were able to survive the crash that claimed 114 other lives.
We started in September of 1985.
Of course, there was Gateway 2000, from the computer company's humble beginnings in a barn to its heyday in North Sioux City, where it grew to employ more than 6,000 people, to its decline and eventual departure from the region. In 2018, finally, the 60-year wait to expand Highway 20 to 4 lanes east of Sioux City and all the way across Iowa came to a celebratory end with a ribbon-cutting ceremony in Holstein. We'll end with a fun one. Can you believe it's been 10 years since the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino opened in Sioux City? They didn't cut a ribbon, they smashed guitars and opened the doors to the waiting throngs eager to come in and place a few bets. 70 years down, who knows how many more to come, but you can be sure KTIV will be there to cover it all. We're Siouxland's news source. In Sioux City, Al Jones, KTIV News 4.
Today, we're marking 70 years to the day of our first broadcast here at KTIV.
And we had a very special guest on News 4 at noon, Sioux City Mayor Bob Scott, who brought us a very special gift.
Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the Council, do recognize the 70th anniversary of KTIV television in Sioux City, Iowa, and encourage all our citizens to join in celebrating the remarkable achievements and contributions of KTIV television for over the past 70 years. And I would like to present this to you and thank you for all the good things that you do to make our community better. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We really appreciate it. And it really is a privilege to celebrate with you today and celebrate with all of our viewers. And I've had
the proclamation specifically recognizing today as the 70th anniversary of KTIV and the celebration of our 70 years of service to Siouxland.
The celebration continued this afternoon on Signal Hill. The entire KTIV staff gathered in our main news studio. KTIV Vice President and General Manager Bridget Breen shared a video looking back at the people who've helped make KTIV what it is today, followed by a group photo before the look back moved out of the studio and into the KTIV Museum, a room full of photos and memorabilia from the past 70 years. There are old KTIV logos and signs, along with pictures of KTIV employees who worked on air and behind the scenes. And of course, pictures that tell the story of KTIV's place in the community, also on display. The proclamation from Mayor Bob Scott and one from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds, plus a letter from Congressman Randy Feenstra.